They say there are countries that sing in silence, places that don't clamor for your wonder, but slowly, gently become part of your breath. Montenegro is such a place. It doesn't shout its name from the peaks of its mountains or from the shimmer of its sea. Instead, it hums through the cobbled echoes of old towns, the hush of pine forests, the hush of lakes that hold the sky. This isn't a place that asks to be seen. It waits for you to feel it. Not flashy, not polished, just deeply, enduringly real. In Kotor, stone remembers. The old town curls within ancient walls, where laundry lines flutter like soft flags of daily life, and the scent of wood smoke and sea salt mix in the alleyways. Churches hide in corners like secrets, and every turn reveals another doorway into centuries past. You don't walk Kotor's streets, you listen to them. Farther south, Budva carries the rhythm of contrast. Mornings begin in silence, with light touching the citadel walls and waves lapping gently at the shore. But by night, music spills onto cobbles, laughter dances from tavern windows, and the past and present blur into celebration. It doesn't break the silence, it honors it with joy. Up in the mountains, near the clouds, stands Ostrog Monastery, carved into rock, held by faith. It greets no one with grandeur, only stillness. Pilgrims don't climb for spectacle. They climb for meaning. And as you reach its white walls clinging to the cliffside, something inside you softens. A quiet reminder of how small we are, and how beautiful that can be. In the canyons of the north, the Tara River carves through wilderness that feels almost untouched. Zip lines may cross it, rafts may glide it, but the true wonder is in the silence between the rushes, in the chill of the water, the scent of moss, the way the mountains seem to lean in and whisper. At Lake Skadar, the world widens again. The water stretches endlessly, dotted with lily pads and hidden monasteries, while birds skim the surface like brush strokes of light. Villages lie tucked in folds of green, and locals still offer rakija with a nod that needs no words. You don't explore this lake, you drift through its story. Harassed, meanwhile, floats in reverie. It's a town that time forgot, or perhaps chose to spare. Boats rock quietly in the bay, and stone villas reflect the golden light of evening. You sip coffee in the silence and understand that not all beauty is built. Some of it is simply remembered. Even Cetinje, once a royal seat, wears its history not as armor, but as skin. Museums whisper of kingdoms past, and streets lined with embassies echo a quieter time. It's a place of reflection, where modern life walks respectfully alongside tradition. Montenegro does not rush to reveal itself. Its charm is not curated, it's earned, through pauses, through presence, through the understanding that some places do not transform you by overwhelming, but by reminding you of what matters. This is not a country of monuments. It is a country of moments. Not spectacle, but substance. Not escape, but return. Each village, each valley, each stretch of Adriatic coast offers you not a new version of yourself, but the space to remember who you already were beneath the noise. These are not destinations to be checked off. They're invitations to be accepted, where hospitality is not a service but a gesture, where landscapes are not just seen but felt, where silence is not absence, its presence. And when you finally leave, if you ever truly do, you won't remember just what you saw. You'll remember how Montenegro made you feel. Centered, grounded, welcome. Not for who you pretended to be, but for simply being there. Crowned high above the clouds, where the wind sharpens its voice across bare ridgelines and the sky feels close enough to touch, rests a monument carved from Montenegro's soul. The Njegoš Mausoleum, perched atop the summit of Mount Lovćen, is more than stone and symbolism. It is a dialogue between earth and eternity, between a man and a nation's spirit, where poetry, power, and nature stand vigil together. The Njegoš Mausoleum is one such place. Njegoš doesn't tower over Montenegro because of where he is buried, but because of what he represents. Poet, prince, philosopher. His spirit lingers not in the stone lions that guard his tomb, but in the verses still echoing through the hills. And within the mausoleum's silent chamber, where the ceiling curves like the inside of a dome of thought, his sarcophagus lies simple yet mighty, resting beneath an eagle-winged mosaic sky. This isn't a place for spectacle. It's a place for pause. The wind doesn't merely blow. It sings through mountain passes and craggy stones, over villages and valleys, carrying with it the weight of words once spoken about freedom, identity, and the eternal struggle for understanding. Here, you don't come to take photos. You come to look outward and eventually inward. Around you, the Dinaric Alps ripple like waves turned to stone. The Adriatic glimmers on the horizon, while behind, forests and gorges lie folded in light and shadow. The mountain doesn't simply rise, it breathes beneath you. Every direction offers perspective. Every gust of wind clears away something you didn't know you needed to lose. The stillness here isn't empty, it's anchoring. You feel the gravity of the place, not just from altitude, but from the ideas that rest here. Petar II. Petrović Njegoš asked to be buried among the clouds, and what he left behind is more than a mausoleum. It's a lighthouse of thought, gazing out across a land that still carries his voice. The Njegoš Mausoleum is not merely a monument, it is a threshold, a summit of stone, a conversation between sky and soul, where architecture doesn't just rise, it remembers. Where solitude doesn't echo, it settles. And all you must do is stand still, look far, and feel what's always been here. Cradled in the folds of Montenegro's rugged terrain, where pine forests breathe quietly and centuries-old facades whisper their stories, stands a town that doesn't strive to impress. It simply is. Cetinje rests in quiet confidence, nestled between mountains and time, where the rhythm of life moves with the grace of history and the dignity of a former royal capital still alive in every stone and square. Cetinje is one such place. Cetinje does not try to outshine other places. It offers something deeper. The beauty here is not loud, but lasting. The richness of culture is not displayed. It's lived. From the Blue Palace to the museums housed in 19th century diplomatic buildings, history is not a relic. It is a companion. You walk beside it, You breathe it in. The surrounding landscape mirrors the spirit of the town, modest, grounded, yet profound. The Lovchen Mountains stand like sentinels beyond the town's edge, their slopes carrying the memory of Montenegro's poetry and pride. Paths wind from the city center into untouched nature, where every step forward feels like a step back into something elemental and enduring. Above, the sky stretches wide, casting soft light onto roofs of red and stone. Below, the town's quiet streets flow with the unspoken poetry of time preserved. The air here carries the scent of pine, earth, and history. No perfume needed. And as the light shifts through the day, so too does the town reveal itself, layer by layer, never rushing to show you everything at once. Tucked within the wild heart of Durmitor, where dense forests hum with quiet life and ancient mountains reflect their pride upon still waters, rests a lake that speaks in silence and mirrors the sky. Black Lake, Kurno Jezero doesn't try to astonish. It simply waits, wrapped in shadow and light, at peace in its own solitude, and more powerful because of it. Black Lake is one such place. Black Lake doesn't beg to be captured. It asks to be felt. The hush of the woods, the hush of the water, the hush within. Each footstep is softened by the forest floor. Each breeze whispers a story. And the stillness here isn't emptiness. It's fullness. A fullness that comes from a place untouched, where even time seems reluctant to move too quickly. Its landscape is stark, yet soothing. The dual basins of the lake, big and little, rest like a pair of cupped hands, holding sky, stone, and silence between them. Around them, the rugged terrain stretches with dignity. Boulders, pine needles, wildflowers, and peaks rising like quiet witnesses to all who pass through. It's a place of slow revelation, where beauty doesn't overwhelm, but lingers. Black Lake doesn't just reflect, it remembers. A place where nature is untouched and yet touches something in everyone. A sanctuary for those who long not just to wander, but to belong. A lake that offers not thrills, but truth. And then, darkness. The trees fade into shadow. The air turns still. And the world, for just a moment, is perfect in its quiet. And something stays, a connection not to movement, but to stillness. Not to noise, but to presence. Not to passing through, but to being part of. This is Black Lake, not a spectacle, a reflection, not a retreat from life, but a return to what is essential. A place where time is honored, not chased. Where silence isn't absence, it's everything. Like the lake itself, waiting, always, for those who need only to pause and listen. Tucked behind stone ramparts where mountains brush against the sky and the sea slips quietly into the bay, Kotor Old Town rests like a relic whispered forward from centuries past. Winding alleys, carved facades, and bell towers trace a map not just of place, but of memory. This isn't a city that changes with time. It gathers it, stores it in limestone and shadow, letting the past murmur through every turn. Kotor Old Town is one such place. Kotor does not present itself all at once. It reveals, corner by corner, step by worn step. A cathedral door left ajar, a cat sunning itself in a patch of ancient light, the scent of stone and sea and bread in the same breath. Whether you're standing in St. Tryphon's Square, following the curve of the fortification walls, or sipping coffee where 4 centuries of voices once gathered, the city doesn't shout. It sings softly. And the voice is layered. Venetian arches tell one story, Ottoman traces another. The churches hold stillness in their bones. Even the ivy on the walls seems to listen. Here you don't visit history, you walk alongside it. The air holds a hush, even in the clamor of midday. You feel it most in the quiet side lanes, in the rhythm of the uneven streets, in the way the shadows linger long into the afternoon. Above, the fortress trail winds, steep and patient, toward a view that stretches from ancient slate rooftops to the fjord-like curve of the bay. The ascent demands breath. The summit gives it back. Below, the town feels like a nest cradled in stone arms, both protected and preserved. The breeze smells of brine and thyme. The wind carries centuries. Kotor is not a place to check off, it is a place to dwell, a place to notice how the shadows move, how the light bends, how time speaks through silence. Where the walls don't enclose, they hold. Where the streets don't lead, they guide. And all you must do is walk slowly enough to hear the stones speak.
Sveti Stefan, where the sea weaves dreams into stone and sunset, where the sapphire waves of the Adriatic Sea kiss the sun-warmed shores of Montenegro and ancient legends drift upon the salt-laced breeze. Sveti Stefan rises, a storybook islet tethered delicately to the mainland by a slender sandbar. A fortress, a village, a dream suspended between sky and sea, Sveti Stefan is a masterpiece painted in stone and light. Cross the narrow causeway and step into a realm where pink beaches shimmer under the sun and cobblestone lanes wind through crimson-roofed cottages that have sheltered nobility, poets, and wandering spirits for centuries. Here, history sleeps behind ivy-draped walls, and every glance reveals another secret kept safe by time. Once a 15th-century fortress built by Adriatic pirates, Sveti Stefan transformed into a royal haven, cradling the footsteps of queens and Hollywood icons alike. Marilyn Monroe, Sophia Loren, and Elizabeth Taylor once wandered these stone paths, their laughter mingling with the call of gulls and the soft rush of the tide. Within its ancient walls, Bougainvillea tumbles in vibrant cascades and hidden courtyards bloom with timeless grace. The soft echo of footsteps along sunlit terraces blends with the distant murmur of the waves, a symphony of serenity played for those who seek beauty without bounds. Beyond the islet, the mainland cradles the luxurious Sveti Stefan resort, where elegant spas and infinity pools melt seamlessly into the rugged Montenegrin landscape. Here, the modern world bows quietly before nature's grandeur and the island's enduring mystique.
cradled in the untouched embrace of Montenegro's highlands, where mist curls between ancient trunks and the quiet rustle of leaves replaces all distraction. Biogradska Gora lies not as a park, but as a living memory of the earth before us. Here the forest does not whisper, it breathes. Every moss-draped branch, every ripple on the lake, every root that twists through soil older than empires seems to say, nothing here is new, and nothing needs to be. Biogradska Gora is one such place. Not curated, not cultivated, just alive. A world before time measured itself. The primeval forest, one of Europe's last, does not ask for your awe. It waits quietly, blanketed in silence and soft light, offering you not a spectacle but a return. You do not walk here to move forward, you walk here to come back, to stillness, to wildness, to balance. Paths meander without insistence. Sometimes they vanish into underbrush, sometimes they open to glades where time seems paused entirely. You pause with it, tracing bark with your fingertips, following footprints of deer, or just listening. Here, every step is less about progress and more about presence. Even the air feels older, sweeter, carrying the scent of pine, damp earth, and memory. You may find a clearing where the light pools like honey, or a fallen log that's become a city of moss and insects. Each detail, unnoticed in busier places, becomes a moment of quiet astonishment. A fallen feather, a spider's web holding droplets like pearls. The way tree roots crack stone with slow, unstoppable patience. And above all, the trees, towering, ancient, indifferent. They do not lean in welcome, they simply are. They have watched seasons turn and empires fall. They do not hurry, they endure. You find yourself walking more gently among them, your voice lowering, your thoughts quieting. In Biogradska Gora, you are not outside the world, you are inside something more essential. Something older than language, more lasting than monuments, more sacred than sound. You don't explore the forest, it allows you to pass through. And as dusk begins to gather, the colors change. Gold gives way to indigo, the lake darkens to mirror the sky, mist returns to the treetops like breath settling into lungs, a fox slips across the path, somewhere in the branches, an owl blinks into waking, and all around you the forest deepens into itself again. Where wilderness isn't chaos, it's clarity. Where silence isn't emptiness, it's invitation. Where every path leads, not away, but within. Sit by the water's edge. Watch the light fade into the trees. Hear the leaves hush under the wind, and feel the forest press gently into your awareness. Biogradska Gora doesn't seek attention. It offers belonging. A forest untouched by time. A mirror held up to nature's resilience, a refuge for those ready to listen more than speak. And then, night. Black sky. This is Biogradska Gora. Not an escape, a remembering. Not a visit, a return. A place where roots go deeper than words. Where trees know more than we do. And where, for once, the world is enough.
Ulcinj, where the Adriatic meets the spirit of the East. At the southernmost tip of Montenegro, where the Adriatic Sea touches Albania, lies Ulcinj, a sun-washed mosaic of cultures, sands, and centuries. Here, the call to prayer echoes beside the crashing surf. Olive trees lean over ancient stone paths, and history and hedonism dance together in warm coastal light. Once a pirate stronghold, and centuries-old Ottoman trading post, Ulcinj today pulses with a bohemian energy and Eastern charm. The old town, perched dramatically on a rocky cliff, tells stories in every twist of its cobbled lanes. Walk through arched gateways, past mosques with elegant minarets, Venetian-style palaces, and humble stone homes, all bathed in the soft golden hue of Mediterranean sun. Below Velika Plaja, the long beach stretches for a dazzling 13 kilometers, making it one of the longest sandy beaches in Europe. The sand here is fine, dark, and believed by locals to have healing properties, a natural spa beneath your feet. Windsurfers glide across the waves, kiteboarders slice the air with color, and sunbathers lose track of time under endless blue skies. At the edge of town, Ada Bojana, a river island shaped like a triangle, emerges where the Bojana River kisses the sea. Famous for its untouched nature, nude beaches, and eco-lodges on stilts, it's a paradise for free spirits, slow travelers, and sunset seekers who crave something wild yet deeply peaceful.
Folded gently between sea and slope, where ancient stone meets water so still it mirrors the sky, Perast rests, not as a city shaped by time, but as a fragment of it. Everything here moves slower, speaks softer, and stands longer. This is not a town of noise or need, but one of memory and breath, held, not hurried. Perast is one such place. Streets in Perast don't rush. They meander. Cobblestones worn by generations echo only footsteps and the occasional hush of oars. Ivy climbs over balconies like it has always been welcome. A fisherman mends his net. A priest walks alone. A window opens, and nothing needs explanation. You sit, not because you're tired, but because the moment asks you to. Maybe at the edge of the bay, watching a heron glide low over the water. Maybe on a step, in the shadow of a centuries-old wall, fingers tracing limestone still holding the sun from yesterday. You notice how the quiet doesn't just exist, it listens. There is a generosity to the landscape here. Mountains cradle the town gently, like hands cupped around a flame. The bay, vast but never empty, reflects every shade of dusk and dream. Even the sky feels closer. Not grand, just true. Every corner of Perast reminds you, this is not a place of spectacle, but of presence. And as afternoon begins to fold into evening, shadows stretch long and golden. The bells ring again, not urgently, but with a sense of ritual. The scent of sea and rosemary drifts in. A door creaks open. Children's laughter echoes faintly from the square and then disappears into stone. Where heritage isn't frozen, it breathes. Where beauty doesn't announce itself, it waits. Where nothing asks for more than simply being here. Lean against the seawall, watch the sun melt into the horizon, listen to the hush of oars, and let the stillness of Perast gather in the quiet places within you. Stay a moment longer. Let the town teach you the pace of its breath. Watch the lanterns flicker to life, the sea darken to velvet, and the sky open like a prayer. Perast does not perform, it remembers. A village held in reverence, a rhythm shaped by salt, silence, and stone. A doorway to stillness that asks for no key, only pause. And then, night. The islets blur into shadow. The bay turns black and mirror-like. A breeze stirs the air, just enough to remind you that you're still awake. And something remains, not what you saw, but what was absent. Not what you found, but what found you. Not the beauty of Perast, but the stillness it gave you to feel your own. This is Perast, not a destination, a threshold. Not a place to pass through, but one to enter. A harbor for those weary of motion. A town that offers not answers but rest, and a silence that speaks far louder than sound. Cradled between mountain and sea, where old stairways wind like veins through a living hillside and bougainvillea spills down from crumbling walls, Herceg-Novi waits, not in stillness, but in rhythm. This coastal town doesn't declare itself in grand monuments or sweeping squares. It speaks through sunlight on shutters, the hush of sea against stone, and the scent of fig trees bending over ancient paths. Herceg-Novi is one such place. Not polished, not preserved, just layered, where every corner holds another shade of time. The town doesn't push forward. It leans gently back, offering its past like an open palm. Fortresses rise, not to impress, but to stand, weather-worn and sure. Archways lead not to attractions, but to discoveries. The pace is slower here. The soul is closer to the surface. Dawn arrives in soft colors. The sun climbs lazily over the Dinaric Alps, lighting rooftops one by one until the bay begins to glow with silvery light. The Adriatic lies quiet below, a mirror to the morning. Footsteps echo faintly in narrow alleys. Cats stretch on sun-warmed stones. A fisherman's boat returns to harbor. There's no rush, only unfolding. You don't explore Herceg-Novi in straight lines. You drift. A staircase lures you upward. A whisper of music leads you into a shaded courtyard. A weathered gate opens to a hidden garden. Each level of the town, each terrace, tower, and tunnel reveals something not found in guidebooks. A quiet cafe filled with locals, a faded fresco beneath vines, a view that stops your breath. There's a certain humility in the way Herceg-Novi stands. It doesn't need to perform. Its beauty is not curated, it's grown. Moss fills the cracks between fortress stones. Paint peels with dignity. Trees grow from walls. Fort Mare and Canlicula, guardians of sea and story, watch over it all, not as relics, but as reminders. Above, the light changes constantly. Sea light, skylight, the golden haze before dusk. Below, the water moves like silk, folding against the shore. The breeze carries the scent of salt and jasmine, and with it, a sense of old-world grace you can't quite name. And in that grace, a kind of stillness emerges. Even at its busiest, the town seems to whisper, slow down. You don't need to conquer this place. You simply need to walk its steps, touch its walls, look out at the curve of the bay, and listen. Herceg-Novi isn't for rushing. It's for returning to self, to silence, to slowness, where balconies aren't just for views, they're for watching time pass. Where ruins aren't empty, they're full of memory. Where every cracked stone says, "I've stood here before you. I'll be here after." Sit on the old city walls. Feel the warmth of centuries in the stone beneath you. Hear the bell from the clock tower drift across rooftops and let the hush of the sea rise to meet you. Watch the last light of day dip behind the mountains, casting shadows across the bay like an old lullaby sung without words. Herceg-Novi doesn't try to be seen, it lets you see. A place of passage, a harbor for memory. And then night. The lights flicker on, soft and scattered. The streets quiet, the hills breathe. The sea, ageless and calm, presses gently against the shore like a heartbeat. And something stays, not just the view, but the feeling. Not just the history, but the humility. Not just the beauty, but the belonging. This is Herceg-Novi. Not an escape, a return. Not a display, a dialogue. A place where stories are told in stone, where the past walks beside you, and where presence at last feels effortless. Perched alone on a wind-swept ridge where sky and stone collide in quiet communion, Kosmach Fortress rises like a sentinel from another world. Forgotten by the present, yet untouched by time's forgetting. Built by empires now vanished and surrounded by the stillness of Montenegrin hills, it watches not with vigilance, but with patience. Here, nothing demands your attention. Everything waits. Kosmach Fortress is one such place, not restored, not adorned, just bare and bold, where broken stone tells you more than polished marble ever could. This is no tourist trap, no curated stop. It is a monument to endurance, to solitude, to the fierce silence of forgotten things. Each cracked wall, each ivy-strewn arch, each fragment of history stands open to wind and sky, unchanged, unhurried. Kosmach doesn't reveal itself at once. You hike up, winding through rough earth and quiet scrub until the ruins appear. Not grand, but true. Step through the arched entry, peer into roofless rooms where shadows stretch like memory. Sit on a stone ledge, still warm from sun, and hear only the sound of your own breath. It's not what's here. It's what you feel that matters. Each weathered wall holds echoes. Built by Austro-Hungarians left behind by history, the fortress tells no neat story. It offers fragments, whispers, questions. What was guarded? What was feared? What remains long after the sentinels have gone? The answers are not written in plaques. They linger in lichen and silence and stone. Above, hawks circle. Below, the trails meander toward forgotten paths and crumbling chapels. The mountain air sharpens the senses. The wind cuts clean. There is no gift shop here, no gate, no guide. Only the open sky, the scattered stones, and the steady pull of stillness. Kosmach Fortress is not polished. It's real. A scar on the hillside. A crown of silence. A relic with breath left in its bones. Where walls do not confine, they reveal. Where absence is not void, it is invitation. And all you need to do is stand still and listen with more than your ears. Rest by the open window. Feel the mountain wind in your hair. Watch the grass bend, and let the unspoken history settle around you like dust on stone. Kosmach does not remember. It remains. A silhouette against the sky. A memory without words. A question without need of answer. And then, night. Cradled between mountains that lean close like old guardians and wetlands that breathe with the rhythm of migrating birds, Lake Skadar stretches vast and quiet, like a secret whispered across the borderlands of Montenegro and Albania. This is not a place that performs for attention. It waits steady and wild, offering those who arrive not a scene, but a sense. A sense that something timeless still stirs beneath the water's sheen and among the reeds. Lake Skadar is one such place. Skadar doesn't need grandeur. It speaks in subtler tones. The fisherman's skiff, the rippling lily fields, the monastery half lost to ivy, the slow shift of clouds reflected in the water's skin. Whether you're paddling through narrow channels, watching the dance of herons, or simply sitting on the shore with your thoughts, the lake wraps you in a quiet you didn't know you'd been missing. The beauty here is not loud, it's layered. Villages like Virpazar dot the edges, places where stone meets vine, where wine flows and stories linger long after dusk. Fortresses perch above the water like forgotten sentinels. Every turn of the shoreline offers something: an ancient archway, a songbird's trill, a wide sky so blue it swallows thought. Here, you don't sightsee, you absorb. At the heart of it all, there is peace, not the silence of absence, but of belonging. You find yourself breathing slower, listening closer. The lake does not ask you to be anything, it just is. And in its presence, you're reminded how rare that is in a world of noise and hurry. Clinging impossibly to a sheer cliff face high above the Zeta Valley, where stone meets sky and prayer rises like mist from the earth, stands a place that feels less built than born from the mountain itself. Ostrog Monastery defies gravity and time, a white beacon carved into living rock, pulsing with quiet devotion and timeless grace. It is not only a site of faith, but a sanctuary of stillness that speaks to all who seek meaning, no matter their path. Ostrog Monastery is one such place. Ostrog doesn't welcome you with grandeur, it invites you inward. The rock-cut chapel, where saints are said to rest in peace, feels more like a cave of prayer than a structure. The scent of incense clings to the walls. Wax drips silently from old candles, and the quiet here is thick, alive, almost tactile. The journey here is not only physical, it's spiritual. The monastery's remote perch above the valley ensures that the climb itself becomes part of the experience, each step shedding layers of distraction. Wildflowers dot the path, goats graze in the distance, and the world below begins to feel far away, as if you've stepped outside of time and into something older, quieter, closer to the eternal. Above, the cliffs tower like ancient sentinels, their faces weathered by wind and centuries. Below, the valley stretches out in hues of deep green and ochre, a canvas brushed by nature's hand. The light dances across both sky and stone, shifting with the hours, revealing new textures and tones as the day deepens. Here, even the shadows feel sacred, as if they too are part of a larger prayer. Tucked beside the edge of the Adriatic, where sun-warmed stones meet sapphire waves and ancient walls wrap tightly around stories older than memory, lies a place that doesn't perform for the crowd. It listens quietly to the sea. Budva Old Town lives not in the shadow of time, but in its embrace, where every cobblestone speaks of centuries, and every narrow alley invites you to step out of the present. Budva Old Town is one such place. Budva Old Town does not chase trends. It holds its ground. Through Roman mosaics, Venetian archways, and medieval cloisters, it weaves a tale of endurance and elegance. The architecture leans slightly from age, yet stands firm from pride. And in the silences between footfalls, you hear the echoes of another time. Still alive, still rooted. Beyond its stone walls, the blue horizon stretches endlessly. Beaches curve away from the old town's edges, but even there, the memory of Budva lingers in the outline of the fortress against the sea. You may swim in the bay, but your gaze always returns to the spires, to the towers, to the enduring heart of the coast. In the core of Budva, it isn't noise that fills the space. It's presence, a presence born of stories, salt, and stone. Whether you're standing before the Church of St. John, listening to the hush inside the citadel, or sipping wine in a shaded courtyard while bells toll above, Budva offers a rare kind of stillness, one not empty, but full. Budva Old Town is more than a destination. It's a memory waiting to happen. A slow walk through centuries. A conversation between sea and city. Where the ramparts don't just rise, they remember. Where the waves don't just crash, they return. And all you need to do is stop long enough to feel the rhythm that's carried through this place for 1,000 years. Budva doesn't just remain, it resonates. A place where history is not an exhibit, it's a companion, a haven for wanderers, poets, lovers, and listeners. A town that invites you to not just see, but to feel. And then, night. The lamps glow softly in the alleys, the waves hush against the stones, and the stars settle above as if they've been watching this town forever. And something stays. A sense that you've touched something lasting. Not just a wall, not just a view, but a part of your own stillness, mirrored in the heart of this walled town. This is Budva Old Town, not just a relic, a reflection, a place where the sea keeps its promises, where time doesn't fade, it shapes, where silence isn't a pause, it's presence, quiet, steady, enduring, like the town itself. Waiting, always, for those ready to walk its paths with open eyes and an unhurried soul. Perched at the edge of craggy hills and olive-covered slopes, where wind whistles through broken arches and time lingers in the gaps between stone and silence, stands a place not forgotten, only waiting to be rediscovered. Starry Bar, an open-air tapestry of ruin and resilience, rests beneath the shadow of Mount Rumija, its remnants whispering tales of centuries past to anyone still enough to hear them. Starry Bar is one such place. Starry Bar doesn't seek to impress with grandeur. It invites you inward with its intimacy. Ivy trails down the sides of Byzantine churches. Moss carpets the steps of long-abandoned homes. And from high above, the old aqueduct arches gracefully across the land like a bridge, not only through space, but through time. Each step you take is a step closer to understanding, of resilience, of loss, of beauty that doesn't fade, only softens. The surrounding world stretches in contrasts. Below, the new town hums with modern life. Above, Starry Bar sleeps in sunlight and shadows. Around you, olive trees twist with age and defiance, having stood through sieges, earthquakes, and storms. The mountains lean in like guardians. The sea is only a whisper away. This is a landscape that breathes, not with motion, but with memory. At the heart of this ancient citadel lies a pulse, not loud, not quick, but steady. You feel it when you brush your fingers along weathered stones, when you listen to the wind play through hollow windows, when you stop to watch a butterfly land on broken marble, unaware that anything has ended. Starry Bar is not merely preserved, it persists. Starry Bar is more than a cluster of ruins. It is a conversation, a communion between past and present. A reminder that decay is also a kind of grace, where walls don't just crumble, they carry. Where quiet doesn't mean empty, it means sacred. And all you need to do is walk slowly, look closely, and let the place speak. Sit among the stones, feel the warmth of centuries beneath your hands, hear the hush of time move around you, and let the still dignity of Starry Bar seep into your bones. Starry Bar doesn't just remain, it endures. A place where history isn't frozen, it breathes. A sanctuary not of grandeur, but of presence. A testament to what lasts, not because it resists time, but because it welcomes it. And then, night. This is Starry Bar. Not a monument, a moment. A place where past and present touch shoulders, where silence isn't absence, it's essence. Steady, worn, eternal, like the stones themselves, waiting to be remembered by those who walk not just to see, but to feel.
Tivat, where the Adriatic whispers elegance into every wave. On the sun-drenched shores of Montenegro's glittering Bay of Kotor, where yachts sway like floating palaces and the breeze carries a scent of salt and citrus, lies Tivat, a town that has reimagined coastal charm with quiet sophistication. Once a sleepy naval outpost, Tivat today shimmers with a new identity, one of modern grace, timeless beauty, and effortless Mediterranean allure. Step into Porto Montenegro, the town's radiant heart, where luxury yachts line the marina like pearls on sapphire silk. Chic promenades lined with palm trees and designer boutiques unfold beside gourmet restaurants and art galleries that reflect the vibrant soul of this seaside haven. The gentle chime of boat masts mingles with soft music from open terraces, crafting a soundtrack of relaxed indulgence. Beyond the polished marina, Tivat's old town hums with local life. Terracotta roofs, whitewashed walls, and intimate squares echo with laughter, cafe clinks, and the murmur of Montenegrin conversation. The Renaissance-style Bucha Lukovic Palace, now a cultural center, guards the town's heritage with quiet dignity, its stone walls whispering stories of Venetian nobility and ancient seafarers. Stroll through pine-scented parks, where shaded benches invite long, sun-drenched afternoons, or escape to the hidden gem of Island of Flowers, Ostrvo Kvihecha, a serene islet just off the coast, where monastic ruins sleep beside turquoise waves and seabirds wheel through the salty air. In spring, the coast bursts into bloom, painting the town in wildflowers and fresh promise. Summer wraps the Adriatic in heat and celebration, while autumn brings golden calm and a gentle nostalgia to the promenades. Even in winter, Tivat glows, a quieter light, softer and deeper, as if the town is whispering secrets only the sea understands. The Vermak Ridge, rising behind the town, offers panoramic hikes for dreamers and adventurers alike, where sweeping views of the bay unfold like a living postcard. At sunset, the water turns to molten gold, and the marina becomes a gallery of reflections, each sail and mast etched into the mirror of the sea.
you.